Okay, let's see if the audio is working now. If folks are popping in here, let me make sure it's working while people are coming in. Check, testing, 1, 2. Okay, it looks like the audio's good, David. Awesome. So you found me. One person found me so far. Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know. I checked it before I went on and it worked. And also, yeah. So, all right, welcome in, everyone. Yay. We'll let a few other folks come on in here. Hopefully everyone else will find me in a few seconds. All right. So as folks are coming in, let me just get this guitar going. All right, close enough for rock and roll. So we got 11 folks here, and apparently my audio is working. Okay, so let's go ahead and rock and roll here. So Guitar Tricks is jumping in on this Black Friday, this big deal that's going on with the Black Friday promotion. So they want me to read off this script to everybody that will be watching the video. So before we start today's lesson, I want to share that Guitar Tricks has an amazing Black Friday deal this year. With the Guitar Tricks Black Friday deal, you'll get $99 for the first year subscription, plus an ultimate beginner bundle, which includes a free custom lesson plan. And yours truly is the one that usually writes most of those. Okay. You also get a free access to one premium boot camp class, where Guitar Tricks is starting to do these boot camp group classes, which is really cool. Okay. I'm doing some of them, and a couple of the other instructors are in on it too. You also get a free copy of Guitar Tricks Ultimate Beginner Guide, and you get a free exclusive access to Guitar Tricks brand new 100 Essential Licks video series. Ooh, that sounds pretty cool. We all need more licks, right, for improvising. And this is a $500 deal, or $500 value actually, for only $99. So it's, almost a little over $400 off. So if you are a current monthly member, which some of my students are, I know that, you can upgrade to the annual subscription with this deal. So whatever your annual rate is, you can get the discounted deal for right now. If you have any questions about this or would like more info, please email Guitar Tricks with your comments and questions at admin@guitartricks.com. Admin's ADIM at is the little A with the circle around it, and guitartricks.com. Okay, cool. So we got that business taken care of. So today, folks, we're going to be working on, we're still working with the lead guitar series. We'll be in this one for a while. Today, we're starting a 2-week series on string bending and vibrato. And we're going to start today. There's curriculum underneath the video. Hopefully it's still there. If you can access the short video that doesn't have audio on it, that I had to back out of and restart this one, it should have 3 pages in the curriculum, and it's called String Bending and Vibrato. Everything you need to know is the title of the 3-page curriculum. Okay, so that's that. Yeah, so we're going to be working on that. Let me just kind of see who's here already, just to acknowledge. Dave's here. Okay, some of the usual suspects. And Matthew, cool. Paulito Paul. All right, cool. Hope I didn't brutalize that, sir. And then Jim's here. Cool. King 50. Hello, Bill. And then Matthew, cool. And then Dave's saying, I haven't seen the upgrade thing yet. If you're already an annual member, maybe I'll email. Yeah, Dave, just reach out to them, okay, and see what's going on. Hey, Second Chance Band, Marianne, they're from the East Coast, Connecticut. And then Wes Ferris is here. All right, howdy doody, Wes. Cool, Danny. All right, cool. All right. So I got a tube screamer that I'm gonna kick on right here just to give me a little more sustain. Doesn't give me much more overdrive, but for doing bends and vibrato, it's nice to have a little more sustain there. All right. So I need to mention too that although this string bending is 2 weeks, next Wednesday I'm actually not going to have a YouTube class because my band has a gig. So there's nothing planned for next week. So we're going to do the second week of string bending, not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after that in 2 weeks. Okay. So know that there's no lesson next week, and we'll finish the string bending packet in 2 weeks from tonight, and we'll be back on track. So again, in this lead guitar technique series, where I wanted to spend 2 weeks on several different techniques using lead guitar, whether you're doing country, heavy metal, blues, rock, this all applies to you, because those 4 genres I just mentioned, and several other genres too, do a lot of string bending and vibrato for sure. And heck, even if you're doing classical or jazz, they don't do string bends, but they definitely do vibrato. So this would be good for you in that respect too. Okay, so take a look at the first example, and even if you don't have the curriculum with you, you can just follow along. What I'm going to do is just make a little exercise. It's at the top of that first page there. Example 1 is going to slide into notes of the pentatonic scale. Actually, it's not the pentatonic. It's more like an A Dorian mode. Okay, but it doesn't matter what notes you play as long as you keep them in key. I just wanted to come up with a simple little melody that's going to work for us to work with our vibrato on. And you could even just do this with one note. But I'm trying to get a few different fingers in here. And what fingers am I using? Well, you can watch the video, or on the left side of the notes up here in the music staff, even if you don't know how to read music, on the left side of each note is a little number. That number is the finger on your left hand I would use associated with that note, or assigned to that note. So we got sliding into 7 on string 4, okay? And then we want to work with the vibrato on all these notes. So before we even work on the next notes, let's just camp out on that first note, okay? And we don't even have to slide into it, okay? You can just pick the note. Now, let's talk about there's a lot of stuff inside of what we're going to talk about with that one note, okay? When you vibrato, couple things. You can either bend the note upwards a little bit. It's and the reason why I'm starting my vibrato and not the string bending is because vibrato is like string bending, but it's very subtle. You don't have to bend it far. Because a lot of times beginner students and even some intermediate students of mine, I hear them bending, and when they bend, they don't bend in tune. They want to bend a full step, and they're bending short of the full step, or they overbend. Okay, so we got to get used to bending those full steps and half steps and whatever the distance of the bend is. Well, the vibrato, we don't even go up to the next fret, really. We just kind of go half. Okay, you're almost going like a quarter step or maybe even less, okay? Now you can push the note upwards towards the ceiling just a little bit and let it back down. And the trick with getting a good vibrato is to be consistent, so you don't want to go where the notes, all around. You want to be at neutral, which is no bend, and then just up a little bit, and then back down, and then back up to the exact same spot, and then back down. And you want to be even. We don't want to be not only even in terms of our pitches, but even in terms of our rhythm. So we don't want to be, okay, where it's jerky, it's nervous sounding, it's fast in spots, slow in other spots. We don't want that. You want to be it's almost hypnotic, like this. Okay. And then the option 2 for vibrato is to pull it down to the floor a little bit and let it back to neutral. So you always got to let it back to neutral. Okay. That's real important. As basic as this is, folks, if you don't have a good vibrato, no matter how much you play that's good, if you don't have a sweet vibrato, it kind of spoils the party. Okay? If you play some really cool licks, but your vibrato is inconsistent, okay, it doesn't sound too good, as my buddy Maverick. Hey, Maverick. Okay, so you got to really spend some time working on getting a good vibrato. And another good thing to do with this, folks, is practice it with a metronome. I remember I read somewhere a long time ago about Mr. Steve Vai, in some article I was reading, he was talking about he would practice his vibrato, and he's got an unusual one. I'll talk to everyone about that in a few secs. But what I'm getting at is that he would practice it slowly in time with the metronome, because from all the transcriptions I've done of blues players, rock players, heavy metal, different guitarists, the really good players, when you listen carefully to their vibrato, they're actually vibratoing in time with the song. Okay, so if the song is going 80 beats a minute, they would vibrato maybe eighth notes, which are wow, 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 like this, 3, 4. Okay, or if I pull it down, it'll be like this. Usually I like to pull upwards or bend it upwards when I'm vibratoing, except obviously if I'm on the 6th string, and if you are, you can't go up because you're going to push off the edge of the neck. Okay, we don't want that. You got to pull it down. But usually I always bend upwards with my 3rd or 2nd finger. Now my 1st finger, though, the opposite. I usually pull that one down. Okay, that's just my preference. Everybody should experiment with this and figure out what works good for you. But what I'm doing is throwing out a bunch of good ideas and tips to everybody. And there's not one right way to do this. Okay, but there's definitely some wrong ways to do this, what I've seen in different guitar players. So I'm going to present a handful of ideas that I think are good ideas. Obviously, you might not be able to do all of them, but try to grab a hold of some of them, and also try to point out what's not good too, as well. Like what I said about erratic, like not bending in rhythm. Okay, that's not good. We need to bend in time, and then also bending in tune and pitch. We don't want to, like I mentioned earlier and demonstrated, we don't want the note to go up a little bit and then up even a little bit higher and then maybe up the next time lower. It's inconsistent. We want it to be a steady pulse. It's like a heartbeat that's very consistent and steady. That's what you want, okay? So at 80 beats a minute, eighth notes would be like what I was just demonstrating, like, and all you got to do is just kind of keep it steady. Okay. Now, the other thing you can do, sometimes I hear guitarists when they're playing, they might do not eighth note, but a triplet vibrato, like this, 3, 4. Where I'm doing 3 of them per beat. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I believe some of the old Kiss albums with Ace Frehley, I kind of hear him doing a really good vibrato that almost sounds like a triplet vibrato. Okay. Ed Van Halen's got a good vibrato that's in time with the song. Yngwie Malmsteen does. Pretty much B.B. King, Stevie Ray Vaughan, all the good players. And I'm just listing a few of them, and even if I forget to mention your favorite player, I'm sorry, but most good players do have good vibrato. Okay. So that's what you want to do, is work with it, a controlled vibrato, and working with your metronome is a good way. And actually getting the hang of it slowly is a really good way to get it stronger. And that's a tip I picked up from reading a Steve Vai article, is he was saying, try to get a control of it slowly and in control. Okay. Now let's talk about this. When you vibrato, you want it to come from your wrist. We don't want the fingers to do this. Okay, I see a lot of guitar players when they start out doing vibrato, they're kind of doing the fingers like this. Okay, we don't want this thing going on. Okay, and also you hear those other strings ringing. Okay, you got to work with palm muting those other strings you're not playing. Okay, okay, that's something we've talked about before, and we'll continue to talk about trying to palm mute or mute the other strings so we don't hear other string noise in everything that we play, not just vibrato or string bends. Okay, so try to keep your fingers still, no matter which finger you're using. Okay, and then it's mostly coming from this, folks. You're putting that right where your index finger connects to your hand. That knuckle is the pivot, the fulcrum point. That's the pivot point where it sits on the bottom edge of the neck. And then you just kind of rotate your wrist like this. See, I'm not moving. I'm not doing this. Okay, then my wrist isn't even moving. It's this. See how the bottom part of my hand here keeps coming away and going back? You can see that, right? That's what you want. It'll take time and practice, people, but doing it slowly and even is the best way to do it. Don't try to jump in the water if, in the deep end, if you can't even get around the shallow end. Okay, so let's try it slowly. And this is a good idea to do this with all your fingers. Okay, so we vibrato a lot of times with the third finger. Okay. Now, the second note in example 1 is a 5 on the 3rd string. Let me just read some of the comments too, because I see a few others coming in. And I don't want to keep stopping every time I see a comment, but I will periodically and just catch up. So Terry's, there you are. Yeah, Terry, all right, glad to have you back, my friend. And then Alex is back. Cool, cool. Danny's here. Cool. All right. And David's saying, hey, Dave, I don't see the course work. Yeah, Dave, it's because the audio apparently wasn't working when I first signed on. And the first sign on for this class is where the curriculum was attached to. So I had to shut down that YouTube lesson and open this one up. So if you can put around on Guitar Tricks YouTube channel, you should see a very short, maybe 3 or 4 minutes long video from today where I'm wearing a Towers shirt. All right. But there'll be no audio. And that's why the comments from some of the students were informing me of that, even though I checked my mic beforehand and it was working. But anyway, if you go underneath that video that's real short with no audio, you'll find if you open up the text box, there's an area, it'll say expand or print curriculum here or grab curriculum here. And it's a blue URL link that you should be able to get at. Okay, David. So I hope that gets it. And then in 2 weeks, when we do our next class, as I mentioned, the same curriculum will be under that one as well. So if you miss it tonight, you can always get it there if for some reason you can't find. Oh, you got it, Dave. Awesome, buddy. Good, good, good. All right. And then Peter, hello. Terry's cool. Good. Doing good, Terry. Mike's saying, first time for me. Great to be here. Well, awesome, Mike. Glad to have you in. And are you a Guitar Tricks member, Michael? If you are, awesome. If not, we were having a big Black Friday sale, and I read off at the beginning of this course tonight or this class the big sale deal that Guitar Tricks is having. And then, you are a Guitar Tricks member, Mike. Awesome. Good to hear. Well, welcome in, man. Join the club and the party, and we're just having fun with guitar. All right, and then Second Chance Band Connecticut saying my favorite vibrato style is the B.B. King way. Absolutely, Marianne, Second Chance Band. B.B. King's got that very cool flutter, and he's just got a smooth vibrato, okay? And no matter what level you are and you're playing, people, like I said earlier, if you're just playing one note and it just sits there, okay, it sounds kind of boring. So even if that's all you can do is a lead guitar, see how anytime a note sustains, that's where you want a vibrato. And another little tip too is don't vibrato necessarily right away. Okay, it might not sound bad, but try to let the note settle for about for a second, and then start shaking it. So go. Let it sit, then shake it. Okay, that's another good tip too for vibrato. Okay, so the second note in our lick, double check in the comments. I got sidetracked there for a sec. So very cool. BB King's vibrato is awesome. And then New Zealand's here. Cool. David's saying, not sure what I've always done without thinking, but I believe it's a triplet thing. Not sure I have a slow and time vibrato. Need some song examples. Yeah, well, Dave, we need to just fire up YouTube and listen to them. And where you really hear it too is when we slow the audio or the video down to like 75 or 50%. When the vibrato comes up in the solo, you really hear how smooth and consistent it is. Okay, that's where you really notice it. Because when I transcribe songs, a lot of times when it gets to the solos, so that I get it as exact as I can, I usually transcribe at 50% or a slower speed, especially if they're faster licks. Because, there's a lot of transcriptions I see on the internet that are not that good, where the notes are completely wrong or in the wrong spot, or they missed a few notes. But when I listen to it, and that might happen when we're listening to a fast solo at full speed, there's so many notes to go by. It's almost inconceivable for our ear to grab every single one. So what a lot of transcribers do and have done in the past is they slow it down to 50% ish, maybe a little more, maybe a little bit less. And then you learn it that way. That way you can hear every little nuance that the guitar player plays. And then their vibrato really stands out. Okay, so if I slowed that down, if that was at full speed and I slowed it down, it would be. See, the vibrato would be like that, not. Okay, you can really hear it. So that's what you want to do, Dave, and we can do this on YouTube and Guitar Tricks. Fire up Guitar Tricks and slow down some of those solos, like the one I did for Holy Diver, Ronnie James Dio. That's on Guitar Tricks. That's got a pretty ripping solo, Vivian Campbell, that I did. Some of the vibrato in that. Listen to the solo at 50%, Dave, and you'll hear the vibrato is there. Also, the Smoke on the Water solo from Deep Purple. The whole song is on Guitar Tricks. I did that, but get that. Listen to that solo at 50%, Dave, and all the vibrato, and everyone else too. All the vibratos, when you listen to them, I play it. It's in time with the song, okay? And it's really smooth and consistent. So that's what we're trying to shoot for, is a very kind of caressing vibrato, hypnotic vibrato, okay? Also, violinists, they got good vibrato. Now, they don't have frets, so instead of vibratoing up and down, they go left and right, which is another technique we can talk about, because classical guitar players do that, even though we have frets. Let me just finish the comments so I can catch up. David's got the curriculum, cool, and then Mike's cool. 2 years, Mike. Good. Marianne's Second Chance Band saying, yes, totally agree. Stuff in the internet's not accurate at all. Yes, exactly, Marianne. Yeah, I take it with a grain of salt with the internet transcriptions. Some of them are pretty good. Most of them, though, aren't as accurate as I would, to my standards. And, granted, I'm not perfect. No transcriber is perfect, but we'll do our best, to grab it and have the right rhythms and the right licks and the right position on the fretboard. Where the licks are done at. But anyway, back to the ranch here, everybody. So we're on the second bar of our vibrato, the 5 on the 3rd string. That's going to be your first finger. So Try it with vibrato with your first finger. Don't do this. Okay, hold your hand still. Lock your fingers up and try to have it your wrist pivot off of that knuckle that connects to touches the underside of the guitar neck. Okay, and for me, when I vibrato with my index, again, like I said before, I always like to pull the index down. And rarely, except if I'm on the high E, I just kind of do it upwards. But sometimes I'll go up with the index, but most of the time I like to tug it down. Okay, and then another tip here, folks, whatever finger you use to vibrato, use the fingers behind it to help support it. So obviously your first finger doesn't have a finger behind it, so it's just on its own. But if I'm vibratoing with my second finger, for instance, I'm going to use my first behind it as a gripper. So I'm not doing this. I do this. It just adds support. If I'm doing my third finger, I put all three fingers behind. Or all three fingers down, the first and second right behind it. Okay, it's not like this. Okay? And obviously the pinky, everybody's pinky is the short one and the skinnier one. It's the weaker finger, okay? So we want to get it on, it's tough to do vibrato with just the one finger, let alone your pinky. So whenever I vibrato with the pinky, I always butt my other three fingers up behind it. So it's like one big fat finger. But I rarely vibrato with that fourth finger. Sometimes when I do that little A minor sweep arpeggio, ends on the pinky. And then I tug it downwards. I could go up. Usually with my pinky, I like to tug it down. Anyway, that's my preference, folks. I'm just kind of throwing out ideas. But no matter what finger I use, that knuckle where the index connects to the hand, that's always at the bottom edge of the neck, always touching it. Oh, and then my thumb, all right, like B.B. King, is around the top edge of the neck, like this. Okay, so I'm just using that as a grip, all right? Okay, it's always there. The thumb's kind of the support. So that little exercise I have, folks, for example, 1 is just kind of walking up a scale. Now, you can slide into the notes and then vibrato, or you can just disregard the slide altogether and just go. Let everyone ring 4 beats, so that way you get plenty of time to work on your vibrato. All right, and try to get it, like I said earlier, controlled and smooth and steady. Okay? So we got 7, 2, 3. In fact, let me do with the metronome just so you get an idea, and we're going to move on. Oh, I want to throw a few other tips about vibrato, because there's not just the up and down vibrato, but there's the classical, and then there's the Steve Vai circular vibrato thing. I want to at least lay them out on the table for you so you can try them on your own and figure out what works for you. Okay? But at 80 beats a minute, we're going to let every note ring 4 beats like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe do it backwards. All right, start with 10. 7. 9. 5. 7. Okay, and you can hear what I do is I don't start vibratoing right away. I let the notes settle for a second, then shake it. Settle, then shake it. It's all about control, people. Controlling the fingers, controlling the vibrato. Okay, now that's the rock and roll, bluesy, country, heavy metal style that goes up and down, north and south, okay? Either down and release to neutral or up and release to neutral. Classical guitar players, though, they don't typically go up and down. They go left and right like this. Okay, and for that style of vibrato, you don't need to pivot your finger. You don't need to put your knuckle on the bottom edge of the neck and do a pivot and a fulcrum point. You got to go left and right. So you almost need to let go of the guitar neck and just get that. See how my thumb lets go? Okay, see how that looks? But I'm just going left and right. And it's a little more subtle. It's not as dramatic as the rock and roll one, the blues one that goes up and down. That's pretty much all the players that most of us listen to would do the up and down vibrato. The classical, though, sometimes we don't want to have this kind of vibrato, where it's nice and wide. Okay, you might want to just, if you're playing like a soft, pretty song, maybe on your ballad, you don't want a crazy wide vibrato. You just want something very, very subtle. Okay, but you can hear it though. Listen, no vibrato. And then left and right vibrato. Okay. And then Steve Vai has this circular. When I was going to Musicians Institute back in 1985 to 86, it was actually called GIT back then, Guitar Institute of Technology. Since then, it's grown tremendously, and now they call it MI Musicians Institute. But Steve Vai did a clinic there right before he joined Alcatraz. If anyone remembers that, back when Yngwie Malmsteen was in Alcatraz, the band, and then he left that band. They needed a guitar player. Steve Vai filled the shoes really quick. Okay, but he was doing a clinic at GIT, and he talked about this circular vibrato thing. And what he was mentioning, it's almost like a combination of the up and down vibrato and the classical left and right vibrato. Okay, so a combination. He would it's almost like he inscribes a circle. Like, maybe try that. It's kind of weird. I worked on it for a while. It definitely takes practice because you got to get it controlled. Obviously, I don't have it too controlled because I don't practice it. It's not my go-to. But it's almost like it looks, it's like he's drawn a little circle. But you got to work on getting it controlled, all right? Okay. Yeah, it's crazy we spend that much time on vibrato, folks, but it's super important. Like I mentioned earlier, man, you can play some really great guitar work, but if your vibrato is not together, it kind of ruins the party. And on the other side of the fence, if all you are, if all you can play are some pentatonic ideas, which is not a bad thing, okay? If your playing is a little less notey than some of the faster, more notey players, again, your vibrato can make you sound like a pro. You don't have to play a bunch of crazy stuff. If you just go. See how that vibrato works? If I don't play the lick, if my vibrato is not good, it kind of ruins the coolness of what I just played. Versus, right? I'm purposely trying to play a terrible vibrato versus a good vibrato. So you get the idea. All right. It's something that we need to work on no matter what level you are, whether you're doing just some pentatonic licks that don't have too many notes. Sounds way better than no vibrato. That sounds like a bump on a log, or a vibrato that's not together. Okay, and the only way we're going to get good at it is practice. Because trust me, I didn't just wake up and do it. I worked a lot with the metronome, trying it slowly, and just getting the hang of vibrato. Okay, now wide vibrato is how wide you get it, that's another element that's really cool to talk about too. Okay, that's if you're just going like this, or see, that's a lot more wide. Versus see how some of them are wider than others, but it's all about control. So, and the only way to get it is practicing. Okay. So I think I covered all the elements about the vibrato. As we go into our string bending now, a lot of vibrato is going to work into any of the notes that we sustain. Okay, so you can see how I wanted to start out with that first. Okay, so let's go to example 2. It's called full step bends. Okay, super important, people. No matter what you bend, you got to bend it to a note that sounds good. Okay, usually they're either full steps, which are 2 frets on the guitar, or it's called a whole step in musical terms. Okay, guitar player lingo, we call it a full step. And it's right on the example 2. All these bends all have an arrow going up, which is the string bending indication. And at the top of the arrowhead, there's the word full. Full means a full step or a whole step in music. What that equals on guitar is the note 2 frets higher. Okay, so if we're bending the 7th fret a full step, that's, you want the 7 to sound like the 9. Okay, you hear that? You got to go up to the 9. And it's super important to be in tune. I hear, folks, when they're doing Johnny Be Good, okay, that doesn't, for all the goodness that that first part was, if the bends are flat, that doesn't sound good. Or if you're over bending, okay, not good. You got to work with getting it in tune. This is good ear training here, people. Okay, so I know a lot of students want to work on developing their ear. This is one of the first places to start if you're an electric guitar player and wanting to do solos, working on string bending, because playing lead guitar solos in all those genres is going to have some string bending in there. So we got to make sure when it says a full step, or it's supposed to be a full step, you get it up there. So what I recommend is play the note that's 2 frets higher than the one you're going to bend. Okay, hear that with your pinky? That's an E note. You don't need to know what the note's called. Just play the note 2 frets higher. Okay, and memorize that in your ear. Okay, that's pretty close. And after a while, you'll know what the whole step's supposed to sound like, and you won't have to play it and go to it like that. You can just grab it. Like the 8, the next note is bending a whole step. So I don't need to play the 10th fret to hear what a whole step is of the 8. That's it right there. Hear the 10? Okay. The other thing that's going to help you, people, is just practice doing this, because the more you do it, your muscle memory will settle in, and your fingers will know on your guitar, when I bend at a full step, I feel how much muscle power, energy I need to exert to twist my hand, to hold the fingers rigid, and to get that note up there. You're going to feel how much energy and which muscles are used to push it up. And you'll know, because if you were to bend it too far, you can feel, I used too much energy. Or if I underbend it, I didn't use enough energy. Okay, if I'm underbending, when you get the full step bends, you'll start to, your muscles will remember how much it feels, what strength it needs to get it up that full step. Okay. And all of this comes, people, from practice, putting your fingers, your hands on your guitar and sitting with your guitar for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I always tell everyone 15 minutes because usually what happens to me, if I say 15 minutes, it ends up turning into a half hour or even longer. All right. But at least 15 minutes is better than nothing. Okay. So you got to pick it up and do it. I've just because you read it in a book and you understand it intellectually doesn't mean you can do it. And I got students that have told me that, I know all the modes, Dave. Phrygian is 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7. All right, cool. I tell them, cool. Let me see you do that. And then they can maybe play it, but they're awkward with it. And sometimes they only know one pattern. Okay, that's one of the patterns for Phrygian, but they don't know the rest of the fretboard. Or even worse, if I said, now play a solo that's in Phrygian, they couldn't really do that. So just because we understand it in the book or on paper doesn't mean we got it. The only way we're going to get it is to sit with our guitar and practice it and do it a lot of times. Possibly not just 1 or 2 or 5 times or 10. You might have to do this 30, 40, 50 times before you start to get it. Okay? That's normal. All right, people, there's pieces of music I'm working on that I haven't performed live yet or shown students because I'm still working on them to perfect them. But I'm not in a rush. I got plenty, and there's plenty of other things you can be working on too, but always make sure you're working on those things you want to do. Like those pieces that I'm working on that I haven't unveiled publicly yet. I'm working on those. Plus I'm working on other things too. But over time, I will eventually get those pieces that I want to play live ready for live performance, and they will be performed live. Okay. But you got to spend time with it and just be patient because sometimes things take a while. Okay. So example 2, and let me just pop into the comments here. David's saying you're good at sounding bad. Right on, Dave. Cool. Appreciate it. I try hard, Dave. Let me stop that. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, cool. All right, so you know what? Just for kicks and giggles, let me try something here. Yeah, that's weird. Okay. All right, sorry about that. I digressed for a minute. All right, so example 2, everybody, is just a short little 3-bar lick in A minor that's just doing bends. We're bending the 7th fret up a whole step, and it's holding for 2 beats. We're doing this. Then we're jumping to the 8th fret 2nd string. Bend that a whole step, ring 2 beats. I'll do this with a metronome in a minute. Then we bend the 1st string 8th fret up whole step. Hold it for 2 beats. Then we go up to the 10th fret 1st string, bend that up a whole step. Okay, and after you do those nice ascending bends, we want to end it with kind of like a good resolve, which is 8 on the 1st string, 10 on the 2nd, kind of quick. Okay. And then you'll see 3 10s on the 2nd string right there, people. Don't play the ones in parentheses. That just means you're going to continue sustaining the 10 for the duration of that bar, another 3 beats, right? And you're going to vibrato the whole time. So the whole lick would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You hear my vibrato at the end? Or your vibrato? I want to hear it. So let's slow that down. Let's do that at 70 on the metronome. So watch this. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you hear that? Now, if you're doing it right, you got to contend with stopping that string from ringing so that you can quickly shut it down and go to the next note. Now, we don't want to let the bends come back down, or at least we don't want to hear the bend come down. So when we go up, we don't want that where there's like a little dip at the end. Okay. What I do is you bend it up a whole step. And then when I'm ready to go to the next note, I quickly stop the strings from ringing with my right hand. That way, when I let the bend down, what do you hear? Nothing. That's what you want. You want absolute silence just for a microsecond as you jump quickly to the second string 8th fret and repeat the same thing. Watch, I'll do it slow. Watch how I mute real quick. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Okay, so try to work with muting those strings. That's a big part of playing this really cool lead guitar stuff. Okay, so Tommy Mason saying, I sold my amp and now use guitar rig 6 and 7. I only use for home use. Do you use simulation amps? Yeah, Tommy, actually, when I play with the band, the blues classic rock band I play out of Blues Junior. Let me see if I can get my finger in the right spot. I got that one, and I got another one right there. And I just bring one of them to the gig because the Blues Junior amps, they sound really good and are nice and loud. It's only 15 watts, but in one 12-inch speaker. But for doing the clubs and bars we play at and private parties, I only put the thing on 2. And a lot of times they're asking me that, hey, can you turn the guitar down a little bit? So I use that live. But here, Tommy, in answer to your question, I actually use that Axe-Fx rack mount, which is the amp modeler. Okay. And then I plug that into a headrush speaker for me to hear. So I hear it in my room here. But you guys, I go out of the Axe-Fx directly into, I have a little mic, Samson mic, G-Track Pro on my desk right here that I plug this little puppy right here that I plug the back of the Axe-Fx goes right into that. And this acts as a, like one of those Focusrite devices that we plug our guitars in. It's an interface that allows you to plug that into your computer. Okay. So the Samson mic I'm using is sort of like an interface as well. And it just I like to keep things simple, people. I don't want to have a million equipments and mixer board here for lessons. I like to just keep it simple. So I plug everything into that Axe-Fx into the Samson mic. The Samson mic goes into the back of the computer here. And then right now in the Axe-Fx, Tommy, I use, I control it from, I got another laptop computer off camera that I use as the control panel. And I can add and switch amp settings and control the Axe-Fx from that computer. So that's what I'm using. And in tone wise, I got a Blues Junior amp setting on the Axe-Fx. And then I got a tube screamer added into the signal chain in that, which is pretty much my same sound when I play with the blues band, the classic rock band. I have an actual, TS909 tube screamer, I think it is model. But I got it in my gig bag off camera here that I take to the gigs, and I use that. Cool. And then Mike, yes, I'm using 9s, 9 to 42 on pretty much all my electric guitars, except I have a Gold Top Les Paul that I put, I think 11 or 12s on, and I jacked the action up a little bit. I think they're actually 11 gauge strings, but I did that for my slide guitar playing. When I'm doing like Dwayne Allman stuff, because it's having slightly thicker strings just makes playing slide a lot easier. And I use that, but otherwise all my other electrics have 9s on them, Mike. Okay. And then, cool, Tom, you use the Focusrite. All right. Those are really good interfaces. That would be something to use if you're also going into Pro Tools or Logic or GarageBand or some of those recording software platforms. Okay. Very cool. So I am going to go about 5 minutes after the lesson because I got the first 5 minutes, we had no audio apparently in the first attempt at the class on YouTube tonight. So right now we're about 50 minutes in. And I know there's only about 5 more minutes left in the hour, but I'll go 5 minutes after. So we'll get a full hour out of this. Okay, cool, cool. All right, Tommy's also saying with Guitar Rig 6.7, I have over 2,000 presets, loads of amps and pedals. Yeah, man, that Axe-Fx is like what you're saying. It's got a ton of stuff, different amp settings, speaker, different amp models, different speaker models. You can move the mic placement of where you want it in front of the speaker. It's got a ton of effects I can add into signal chains. Yeah, it's got a lot of stuff. Plus a bunch of, like you said, 2,000 presets. There's a ton of them on the Axe-Fx. And I'm sure you can create your own presets too, right, Tommy? Just like on Axe-Fx. I've created a few presets that I like on my own. But some of the presets they have in there are like, I don't need to change it. It sounds great for, whatever particular thing I'm doing. But the presets, though, to find the good ones, you got to literally play through all of them. Just one day I had a little bit of time and I went through literally every preset on my Axe-Fx and made notes, because some of them are kind of wacky and really out there, and it sounded neat for a sound effect, but it didn't really have any practical purposes for me. So I just made a list of all the really good amp settings and particular presets. And I just made a list and I keep it next to me. So if I'm looking for AC/DC sound, I go to that preset, or blues, I go to that one, or David Gilmour or Van Halen, whatever, Dire Straits. Everybody's got a little different setup and rig. So that's what's kind of neat about what you have on your guitar rig or the Axe-Fx. So cool, Tommy. All right, good deal, bud. All right, so example 3, people. This is a short little 2-bar one. We want to cover all the options for string bends, okay? Tommy's saying, are you in the UK? Do I do my own presets? I will follow you more. I'm not in the UK, Tommy. I'm here in America. I'm in Arizona. And you can definitely follow me if you want. I do Wednesday night YouTube classes sponsored by Guitar Tricks every Wednesday. Except next Wednesday, my band has a gig, so I'm not going to be here next Wednesday. But typically, pretty much every Wednesday, I'll be here, and during the Christmas holidays, I think between Christmas and New Year's, I believe I took that Wednesday off. But otherwise, like almost 95% of the time, I'm here on Wednesday nights at this time. Guitar Tricks is sponsoring it, so we're all, kudos to Guitar Tricks for having me do this. Yeah. Also, Tommy, I've got a website. My name, DaveCelentano.com. Go to it. I've got a bunch of YouTube videos if you want to follow my YouTube channel. I don't do lessons on YouTube, my YouTube channel. I just have performances. So you can see some of the Spanish guitar playing I've done. It's some of the metal stuff, some of the blues stuff, some of the slide stuff is on there. I just wanted to create a channel where it demonstrates a bunch of different styles that I like and can do. And sometimes when I'm teaching, I'll pull up one of those videos and that's what I'll be showing the students, like some of the slide, if they're doing wanting to do slide work, we can work on Dwayne Allman licks or Billy Gibbons licks, but I have some of my own too. And I've got some of them on those YouTube videos. So check that stuff out, Tommy, too. Yeah. David's saying, let's get back to our curriculum, people. Here, David's saying, with the whole step bends, do you let the tone settle at the top of the bend and then add vibrato? Might be easier to practice hitting the note that way. That's exactly it, Dave. That's what I said. Whether you play the note by itself, like this. See how I let it settle for about a second or a half second? Then vibrato. Or with the bend, same way. Might be kind of cool to practice that with example 2, all of them, like maybe let each one ring 4 beats instead of 2, like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That would be something good to practice today. Now, adding vibrato on top of a bend is harder to do. So if you're just starting out with this vibrato thing, everybody, let's first off get the hang of vibratoing on just a flat note, not bend. All right, just any note that's not bent. Okay, just make sure you got that down first. Because if you don't have that vibrato down, it's probably not going to sound any better. And it might even sound worse when you try to do it with a bend. Okay, so make sure we can do the non-bent vibrato first. Okay, example 3, we're doing half-step bends. So these are the 2 most common bends you'll see: whole step or full step bends and half-step bends. A half-step bend, it's just got the number, it's got the half symbol over it, okay? That's just equal to 1 fret on the guitar. So if you look at example 3, we're bending the 7th fret, 2nd string, a half step. So we want the 7 to sound like the 8. Okay, listen. Okay, and then on the 1st string, same thing. We want the 7 up a half step. Okay, and just like I said earlier, this is good ear training. So at first, play the note, your target note, the 8th fret, then go back to the 7 and match it. And after a while, you'll just know how much muscle power to put into that bend to get it a half step. And then you use your ear, because we'll also, as we get better, we'll be able to know what that half step, whole step sounds like. How do you think singers sing in tune? Because they don't even have frets to play to go by, all right? They have to hear those notes in their head ahead of time as they go to it, all right? This part of playing any instrument is having a good ear. So work on your ear too. Don't get caught up with just, playing a bunch of... That's all nice and impressive, but if you can't bend in tune... or your vibrato's not happening, all that stuff doesn't really sound that good, all right? I've seen guitar players play many times in the Guitar Center. They're trying to show off, and they might play a cool lick, but then when I hear them bend out of tune or vibrato sounds like a train wreck, it's like, oh boy, all right? So there's more to playing guitar than just playing a bunch of notes and showing off, all right? We've got to take our time and master some of these subtle details. It's the details, people, the subtleties that are going to make you a better player, okay? They're subtleties, the little details are what's going to make you sound like a pro, okay? Just because you play a bunch of notes fast doesn't mean you're a pro, okay? B.B. King sounds like a pro, and he definitely doesn't play fast, okay? So try to get those 7s, half steps, and then we end it with the 5. First string gets vibrato. So at 70 beats a minute, example 3 would go like this. And all these too, by the way, people, I'm trying to keep it in the tonal center of A minor, okay? And specifically A Dorian, okay? But if you don't know what A Dorian is, don't worry about it. If you do, contemplate that for a sec. But check it out at 70. 3, 4. One more time. Okay, that's what you want it to sound like. Let me read the comment from Tommy. I see you got a Gretsch. Wait, I see you got a Gretsch. I got I find it great to do Ben's way. 72 years old and love my guitar. Tommy, all right, cool, man. All right, well, cool. That's actually not a Gretsch. That's a Gibson 335. If that's, I don't own any Gretsch guitars at all. Beautiful guitars though, but cool. Yeah. The Gibsons I find are real easy to do bends on. They're slightly shorter scale neck than like the Paul Reed Smith guitar necks are just a little longer. And then the scale length on Fenders is even a little bit longer. That's why the Gibsons typically are a little bit easier to bend on. But the Gretsch, I'm not sure what the scale length is. So, but if you find it easier to bend on, Tommy, right on, man. All right. So let's do one more topic here, and then we'll wrap it up real quick. Example 4 is reverse bends. That's where you're going to do the pre-bend. So you're going to, they call them reverse bends, but a pre-bend is when you bend it up first. And this first one in example 4 is a half step pre-bend. So you got to kind of guess at where your finger will be to get it to the sound of the 8. Okay. And then again, like I said, after a while, your muscle memory will set in because we can't use our ear on this because we don't hear anything. You see, you got to just approximate where that half step is, but you can try yourself. Listen. See that? Listen. Because from years of doing this, I know about how far to bend that second string to get it to be about what a half step is. All right. So what we want to do on a reverse bend is pre-bend it and then pick it and let it down. And then add your vibrato. Okay. And then on the next note, we're going to pre-bend the 7th fret 3rd string, but this time it's a full step. Okay. Now listen. Okay, this is where we want it. That's the full. Yeah, you hear I was a little flat there. Listen. There, that's pretty much on. Okay. Okay. Now, normally we don't have to do the test. You know, I don't do the test. I just go. Okay, that's what you want. Reverse bends are neat. They create kind of a weeping, almost like the guitar is crying. So example 4 goes like this with the metronome. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. One more time. 3, 4. Okay, there you go. All right, people, I'm going to wrap it up. Next week, no lesson. And I'm making a note here. We'll pick up with example 5. Making a note. So in 2 weeks, people, join me. Same bat channel, same bat time on Guitar Tricks YouTube channel for some more free tutorials, some more lead guitar concepts. And we're going to be doing week 2 of 2 for the string bending here. Okay. So Terry's saying, Dave, do you have any recommendations for ear training? Yes, Terry, if you're a Guitar Tricks member, search ear training in their search bar. I believe Christopher Schlegel is the instructor that has several ear training lessons, and they're real good. If you take some lessons, one-on-ones with me, I have some stuff I can give you too, Terry. But if you're already a Guitar Tricks member, check out Christopher Schlegel's tutorials. Just search in the search bar on Guitar Tricks at the top of their pretty much every page, but their homepage, they've got that there. Search ear training and a bunch of lessons will come up because there's several. Glad you're into that, Terry. Everyone else should check that out too. Second Chance Band. Hey, thank you, Marianne. Appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, and have a good one. Have a good Turkey Day, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. All right. Terry's saying, such as videos. Yes, Terry, I just answered that question. Guitar Tricks, there's several. So, and Terry, if you're not a Guitar Tricks member, think about joining them. They've got this Black Friday deal where it's $99 for a full year. All right. And you get access to the whole site. Plus you get all that other free stuff that I mentioned at the beginning of our lesson here tonight. Okay. Tommy's saying a good test for bends is Albatross Fleetwood Mac. Yeah. There you go, Tommy. Yeah. That old Fleetwood Mac stuff with Peter Green. Oh boy. Great guitar player, man. If you like blues, that old Fleetwood Mac stuff is pretty. Peter Green is one of the best. Danny, great lesson. Dave, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. All right, Danny, peace to you, buddy. Yep. And then King 50, Bill. Yep. Happy Thanksgiving to you too, man. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. You're very welcome. David saying, sorry, we are back when? In 2 weeks, Dave. Next Wednesday, I have a gig with the band. So we're on in 2 weeks, and we'll finish this packet at that lesson. Okay. Dennis, appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving to you too. Yep. Tommy, all right. Thanks for the live. I've subscribed. Cool, man. All right. And Alex, all right. Happy Thanksgiving. Everyone be good. And glad y'all could find me real quick when I created a new YouTube. I had little technical difficulties at the top here. Well, everyone have a great holiday. If you're celebrating Thanksgiving tomorrow and you got that nice big fat 4-day weekend, yeah. And if not, enjoy your rest of the week and the upcoming weekend. Cool, cool. See you in 2 weeks. Put the cough on. Yeah. All right. Coolness. All right. Everyone be good. Peace. Keep those fingers flying. And the trick is with guitar playing is don't give up. All right. Because if you give up, of course, you're not going to get any better. Just try to find a liking for it and enjoy it. Just enjoy your practice time. All right. There's no rush. We're not trying to be rock stars. Well, maybe some of you are, but most of us aren't. We're just trying to have fun and learn something. So enjoy your time with it. All right, everyone be good. See you in 2 weeks. Okay, bye.